let's get to game picks here because I think we're going to have a pretty good discussion here, Joe. We go into week 5, game picks this week, a massive week in college football. Let's start it off here. Joe, and I'm sorry for everybody on the audio podcast side of things, but here are our 10 games. Let's start on the left side of the board here. Georgia versus Alabama. I am picking the Dogs. You're picking the Roll Tides.
I'm sorry, Georgia fans. I know that you like us and we hype you up a ton and we're big advocates for you, but I just think that the way that Alabama ran the ball was against Wisconsin, the way that this offense could be, if they run the ball successfully against Georgia, I think that they could pull out this win. And I think it's to their benefit. It's at home. It's going to be a close pick'em type of a situation. I know that right now Georgia is favored, but with some of the injuries that Georgia's dealing with and Alabama, who's getting healthy at the current moment, I have to pick Alabama.
I just can't go against the curb, man. I can't go against Kirby in this one because, Joe, I do think that there's something to be said about him being 1-5, but he's 1-5 against Saban. And even though I do think Kalen DeBoer is a good coach, I think a lot of people think he's a good coach. I do worry about their receiver play against these DBs. I do. I really do. They have not seen it. They have not seen a team with this many athletes.
I think we're going to learn a lot about that secondary. I think that secondary is better than you're giving them credit for. I know we got into a shouting match over it.
I think Georgia's secondary is better than that receiver core. You're right.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the Alabama DB.
No, I'm talking about the DB unit for Georgia. I mean, Joe, you're talking about one of the best defensive backfields that is going up against a kid that's a leading receiver, and everybody keeps mentioning him. He's 17 years old, and Ryan Williams. I cannot look, man. I know
it's a tough matchup for him.
It's a tough matchup. Now, if he goes out there and shines, good. Because look, I need to see it happen first. I think people are making way too much of this Kentucky thing.
That I agree with. I do completely agree that I think that too many people.
Joe,
they're using
in a neutral field right now. Vegas is saying that Georgia's a 6-point favorite.
Yeah,
that's what they're saying, and that's a massive spread in a game like this.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, here's another thing too. What happens when this Bama team faces real adversity against a real team? That's what we need to see.
We're gonna find that out.
We've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the Georgia Texas matchup. I think is going to be a little bit more. I might lean the other way.
I still think Georgia wins that one. I feel differently about this game.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the next game. Penn State versus Illinois. Even though you just trashed them, just joking.
I don't know why people keep thinking I'm trashing them. God, yeah, I'm taking Penn State to beat Illinois.
We're both.
I'm taking Illinois to cover. I put money on it.
I'm not going to do that either, but I'm not going to put money on that game because I think Illinois can keep it close, and that's why I'm going to stay away from it. Why did you pick Penn State?
More talent. There's just more talent at every position group. They have the necessary talent, especially a quarterback, to separate if it ends up being somehow close.
Mm-hmm.
Finish late. Drew Aller is good enough of a player, I think, to make some plays. The run game's phenomenal to separate and create plays against that run defense of Illinois. I think it's a pretty easy pick going with Penn State.
James Franklin wins 98% of the games that he's favored in.
That's pretty crazy.
I know, and you know what's even crazier? The 2% is Michigan and Ohio State.
Well, that we could have guessed. I could have guessed that was the only feud that they lose to.
The point is, though, when they're supposed to beat opponents, they do, and that is just why I am taking them. I don't hate Illinois. I think that they're on the rise. I think Bielema's doing a hell of a job recruiting and developing. I agree with you that Penn State has more talent. By the way, we didn't mention the standings are a little closer here, Joe. Your boy's 26-14.
Breathing down your neck.
That's what she said. And you are 25-15 here. I forgot to mention that out of the top. Texas A&M versus Arkansas and Jerry World. We're both going with the Aggies.
I think it's easy to pick the team that is more fundamentally sound at the current moment. I think that we've seen Arkansas, albeit they've been outperforming expectations, they make a lot of mistakes. They tend to shoot themselves in the foot. The only reason why they beat Auburn is because they went against a team that shoots themselves in the foot more than they do. So I got to stick with that run defense. I think that they can, for Texas A&M, they're going to get some stops that some of these other opponents have not been able to get against that rushing attack.
Dude, I have not seen a fan base in the Ruffino and Joe YouTube chat that hate us more than the Arkansas fans.
We picked them last week. What?
Well, here's the thing. I came out there and said that I don't trust Taylor Green throwing the football, and they had a conniption fit. And the truth is, Joe, the last 2 games, he's been under 50% completion percentage.
He's been bad.
Well, so I asked him. I was like, I asked him this in the chat. What did I say that was factually incorrect? And they said, and every one of them came back and said this. He's a better quarterback than you're saying. Well, what did I say? What I said is that he's going 2 games against somewhat inferior opponents, then he can't get above 50% completion. Here's the thing, though, that worries me. I do think Bobby Petrino wants this one really, really, really bad. And I question, do they back off of – and Sam Pittman, I do think, really needs this one too. I really do. Do they back off of dropping back and throwing the ball as much as they had been versus getting Green out in open space and running the football more? I will say this. I can't believe I'm saying this. I just trust A&M more. And, Joe, I'm impressed by this Marcel Reed kid. Now, he hasn't necessarily played he's been in 2 games and started 2 games, and those opponents weren't necessarily great. I just think that A&M finds a way here. And by the way, A&M's 1-11. All right. Look what's next. Notre Dame and Louisville. Your thoughts? We both picked Notre Dame, by the way.
I can't. Okay, everybody knows I can't not pick Notre Dame in a situation like this. I'm not going to pick against my team. I don't care. You can get upset with that. You can say whatever you want, Louisville fans, the 4 that exist on this planet. You guys can get mad at me all that you want because I'm picking against your team. If they come out motivated, and I think that they are going to come out motivated because of the loss that they suffered last year and that this game is at home, they're good enough to beat them. Louisville has a good defensive line. They've got great receivers. If Notre Dame's offensive line plays well, and if their secondary, which is one of the best in the country, plays well against that receiving core, I think that Notre Dame wins this football game. And I said this on my BR stream today. If you adopt and watch what Orgy did, and you adopt that, Alex Orgy, if you adopt what they did and you run the football more and you mirror that and you lean on what's been successful, I think that they can find some sort of a rhythm to get into, and they could do it in this game.
I don't trust Riley Leonard at all.
That's what I'm saying. Just run the ball.
I think so. Actually, I'm not thinking. I'm just going to tell you what's going on in that building. I know this for a fact. The handy dandy eye blade could show you if need be. I think they're worried about running him. I really
shouldn't
do.
be. There's nothing to lose.
No.
You can't throw the ball anyways.
I think they're worried about him getting hurt.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number 1 source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts. Who cares? He's a football player.
Joe.
Seriously, I'm not saying like I'll run him into the ground, screw his health. That's not what I'm saying. But all I'm just trying to point out is like he's a football player. I'm not saying you need to give him 30 carries.
Well, he had 12 last week. He didn't look too bad. But listen, I pick Notre Dame too. Here's the thing though. If Louisville can stop them from running the football, Jeremiah Love's got to get the football more. And if they can limit them if they can force Notre Dame to be very one-dimensional and have to throw the ball around, Notre Dame's in serious trouble. Yeah. Very serious trouble. So it's going to be interesting to see how they respond from that. Ole Miss and Kentucky, both of us going with the Rebels.
Yeah, by the way, should we power through these so that we can get to the Miami Virginia Tech preview, or did you not?
Oh! I didn't even know that we were doing that. Yeah, sure. Okay,
that's my okay miscommunication there. All right, let's finish talking about these though. Ole Miss, is a bang.
That's why I was kind of pussyfooting around, to be honest with you.
I was wondering. I was like, I didn't know if you had remembered that we were doing that. Kentucky's not going to win this game. Kentucky had, and we talked about this in the preview for anyone who missed the segment. They have too many issues in offense to be able to stay and hang in this thing. It's just, there's terrible situation for them.
I completely agree. Kansas State, Oklahoma. I put Kansas State, I guess. You put Kansas State.
You texted me Kansas State, I guess. So I had to echo.
I don't trust either one of them.
Well, that's fair. That's a good answer, actually. I know that some people might not
I don't
love
trust
that.
either one of them. I got to be real with you. I typed out Oklahoma State and then deleted it.
I think that you made the right decision. I think that what's important to pay attention to, bad run defense against a good rushing attack will lead to a loss for Oklahoma State.
I don't trust Avery Johnson. I really, really, really don't. He's the Dr. Pibb version of Riley Leonard. But
Okay.
We'll see. Miami, Virginia Tech. We'll get that in just a minute. We picked Miami. Auburn, Oklahoma. Both of us going with the Sooners here, Joe.
I'm excited to see how the quarterback change is going to work out for Oklahoma. But God, man, why would I pick Auburn with all the messes that they're going through? I'm going to pick the team that's going to rally around one another rather than the one that's dealing with coaching staff drama easily.
I almost picked Auburn because
we said earlier.
The reason I wanted to pick Auburn is for this reason. Michael Hawkins is getting his first start in that place.
That's fair. It's a tough situation to step into as a true freshman.
To be in, man. And I don't care that Cal went there and won. That place is still tough. Just that defense is so good, man. But we'll see. I mean, I'll be real with you. Flip a coin into a fountain and see what happens because I don't know what's going to happen in that game. Yeah. USC, Wisconsin, both of us going with the Trojans. And Ohio State, we got beating Michigan State, Joe.
USC shouldn't lose this game. They're at home. I mean, there's nothing to really worry about. Wisconsin's kind of a dead body right now. Yeah, they're kind of I almost said floating turd. That would have been a little bit too mean. But yeah, they're a bit of a dud right now. They're kind of disappointing. And we talked about Ohio State. This is a perfect opportunity for them just to dominate an in-conference opponent and remind everybody, hey, there's a reason why we were ranked in the top 2, and some people were saying we were the number 1 team in the country.
I think Ohio State's going to want to make a statement in this game. I said in the preview, I think it's going to be a blowout. I heard from a little birdie on that staff who is really good friends of the show, by the way, and ironically, shares some blood with your boy here. I think that the vibe around Ohio State all week has been they want to prove a point. So I'm going to take them to win big. I'm going to take them to cover too.